Okay, in this video, we're going to work on the quadratics review, number 1. So in this worksheet, we're going to work on a couple of things. Okay, the first of which is indicating if the quadratic, opens up or down. Okay, so does it open up or down? Then we're going to identify the vertex by finding the x and the y. Next, we're going to identify the y-intercept, and then lastly, we're going to sketch an approximate graph of each function, showing the y-intercept where possible. Okay, so I'm not going to do every single problem, but I'm going to give you a good start on this. So, to say whether or not it opens up or down, if the leading coefficient, so that's the coefficient of the x squared, if that is negative, like it is there, it is opening down. Okay, so that is going to be, look like this. It's going to open down. Okay, B will be the biggest thing you're going to do. So remember, the vertex you get first by getting x, and that's going to equal negative b over 2a. So remember, right here, right there, that is your b. In front of your x squared term is your a. So if I want x to equal negative b over 2a, that means it's going to be negative 6 over 2 times a negative 1. Okay, so what does that give me? So negative 6 gives me a positive 6, and 2 over negative 1 gives me a negative 2, and that equals 3. So far, the x of my vertex is negative 3. So now let's get your y. To get your y, you're going to take your function, which is right up here, and you're going to say, okay, y equals negative, and then I'm going to put x squared, and then I'm going to say minus 6 times negative 3, and then minus 11. Okay, negative 3 squared is 9, so this becomes minus 9. Negative 6 times negative 3 is positive 18 minus 11. Negative 9 plus 18 is positive 9. Positive 9 minus 11 is negative 2. So our vertex is therefore negative 3, that's the x value, comma, negative 2. Where is that? We'll go across negative 3, go down negative 2. It's right there. That's the vertex of our quadrilateral. And because it has to go down facing, that's what it's going to be. Now, we haven't talked about the y-intercept yet. The y-intercept is just the constant. So the y-intercept is negative 11. I can't graph it because negative 11 is not on the graph. So for our purposes, what I've graphed for number 1 is perfect. Okay, go on to number 2. We're going to do a few of these together. So first off, the a, since the leading coefficient is negative, it's going to be downward facing. B, I want to get the x, and the x equals negative b over 2a. Here is your b, here is your a. So negative b is negative of a negative 6. 2a is 2 times negative 1, just like last time. That's going to be 6 over negative 2. Once again, that x is negative 3. So far my vertex has an x of negative 3. Now let's get the y. Go back up to this equation. Y equals negative of x squared. So put a negative 3 here and square it. Minus 6 times negative 3 minus 5. Negative 3 squared is positive 9, so that's a negative 9. Minus 6 times minus 3 is positive 18, just like last time, and then minus 5. Negative 9 and a positive 18 is a positive 9. Positive 9 minus 5 equals a positive 4. So my vertex is negative 3, comma 4. What is my y-intercept? My y-intercept is this constant, which is negative 5. I can't plot it here, but I can plot my vertex. Go over 3, so that's a negative direction, and up 4. So right here is where my parabola is going to be, and because it has a negative leading coefficient, it's going to be down, down, and I can't plot my y-intercept because the y-axis does not go all the way down to negative 5, so that is sufficient. Okay, let's do a couple more. So here's number 3. So this also has a negative leading coefficient. So my parabola is going to be facing down because that leading coefficient is negative. Get your b. Your x value equals negative b over 2a. Identify the negative b, or identify the b rather. The b in this case is positive, but the a is negative. So negative b becomes negative 6. 2a is 2 times negative 1, which is negative 2. This makes 3 for my x. And you can do this with your calculator. Okay, now get the y. So far my vertex is going to be 3 comma, let's get the y value. So my x was positive 3. This is negative 3 squared plus 6 times 3 minus 5. Okay, so negative 3 squared is negative 9 plus 18 minus 5. What am I getting? Negative 9 plus 18 is positive 9. 9 minus 5 is going to be 4. So my vertex is 3 comma 4. Okay, so I'm going to go up 3 over 4. Let's get the y-intercept. That is negative 5. So that was what I asked for, what? For C. The y-intercept is negative 5. I can't plot that because my y-axis does not go down that far. Therefore, I'm just going to sketch my vertex like that. Okay, next one. Here, I'm going to say, once again, the leading coefficient right here is negative. So this is going to go like this. It's downward facing. B, your x, is going to equal negative b over 2a. Come up here. This is your b. This is your a. Negative b is going to be negative 16. 2a is going to be 2 times a negative 2, which is a negative 4. And that makes my value for my x a 4. So far my vertex has a value of 4. Y, follow this equation right here. It's negative 2 times 4 squared plus 16 times 4 minus 35. Okay, we're getting some big numbers here. So 4 squared is 16. Negative 2 times 16 is negative 32. Plus 4 times 16 is 64 minus 35. Okay, a negative 32 and a positive 64 is a positive 32. Positive 32 minus 35 equals a negative 3. So my vertex is 4 comma negative 3. my y-intercept, oops, which is C, excuse me, that is C, that's going to be negative 35, and I can't plot it because my y-axis only goes down as far as negative 12. Okay, so let's put this on here. Go over 4 and down 3. Here's your vertex, and then your parabola is going to go downward facing. Done. Okay, let's go to 5. So I want to get some of the different ones up here. I have a lot of negative leading coefficient. I want at least one positive leading coefficient. So let's keep doing this. I'm going to do about half of them, and then I will give you the rest of the answers, but you need to show me your work. So I'm going to do 10 problems, and you're going to do 10 on your own with an answer key. Okay, so looking at this, I see that the leading coefficient is again negative. So this is also going to be down, down like this. And then for part B, finding the vertex, the x equals negative b over 2a. Here is your negative, here's your b, here's your b. Here is your, up to here is your a. Okay, so negative b, so negative, and then b is negative 4, so negative, negative 4. And then 2a is 2 times negative 2, which is negative 4. So this is 4 over negative 4. Okay, let me just make sure I'm doing this correctly. Let me just check the key myself. Yep, we're good. So that's going to make my x negative 1. So far your vertex is negative 1, and I'm waiting for my y. To get your y, you're going to plug in a negative 1 in this equation right here. So y equals negative 2 times negative 1 squared minus 4 times a negative 1. Okay, negative 1 squared is 1, and 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4, and that's going to equal a 2. So it looks like my vertex is negative 1, comma 2. And what is your y-intercept? Well, I have no constant, so therefore it must be 0, and I can plot that. So here's your y-intercept at 0. Now do your vertex over 1 up 2 right here. So now this time when I graph my vertex, I have to go through that y-intercept. Okay, so right here at 0 is your y-intercept, and that was the first time we were able to plot that. Okay, let's look at 6. 6 is different because finally the leading coefficient is not negative. So when it's not a negative leading coefficient, it means that your parabola is shaped like a smile. It's shaped up. Okay, so positive leading coefficient, you have an upward facing parabola. Get your x, so x equals negative b over 2a, and here is your negative b, well here's your b rather, that's your b, and this is your a. Okay, so negative, and then the b is negative 18. A is 3, so 2 times 3 is 6. A negative of a negative is a positive, so that's 18 divided by 6, which equals 3. Okay, so far my vertex, I know that the x value is 3. Let's get my y value. And to get your y, you're going to plug into the y equation up here. So it's going to equal 3 times 3 squared minus 18 times 3 plus 26. Okay, 3 squared is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 18 times 3. 3 times 8 is 24. Put down the 4, carry the 2. 3 times 1 is 3, and 2 more is 5, plus 26. Okay, so what do we have? 27 minus the 54 is negative 27. 27, negative 27 plus 26 gives me a negative 1. Okay, so that's going to equal, we get this out of the way. It's going to be a negative 1. Okay, so my vertex, I'm sorry, I went one too far. We go here and here, and this was a negative 3, that's right. Okay, here's where I was. So this becomes a negative 1. That's the y value of my vertex. What about the y-intercept? It's your constant. So the y-intercept is 26, and I don't have a 26 value on my y-axis, so I can't plot that. But I can go over 3 and down 1, and this vertex is going to be going facing up because my leading coefficient is positive. So that takes us to 6. 7 is the following. So looking at that, I see that my leading coefficient is positive. I know that my parabola is upward facing. To get my b, I need the x value, and x equals negative b over 2a. Here is your b. Here is your a. So that's going to equal negative of a negative 16 over 2a. 2 times 2 is 4. That's negative of negative 16 is 16. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So my vertex so far has an x value of 4. Okay, so my x value is 4. Let's get your y value. Plug your y into this equation right here. Y equals 2 times 4 squared minus 16 times 4 plus 34. So 4 squared is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. Minus 4 times 16 is 64 plus 34. 32 minus 64 is negative 32 plus 34 equals positive 2. The vertex is, is 4, 2. And here's your y-intercept. That's going to be positive 34. My y-axis doesn't go up that high, so it's not going to be shown. But my vertex is over 4, up 2, and it's going to be going up this way. So that's how my quadratic will be shaped. Okay, we have a couple more to do. Okay, let's do 8. So for 8, what I want to see is that the leading coefficient is 1/2. That's positive. So my vertex is going to be upward facing. To get my x value, I'm going to say negative b over 2a. This is my b. This is my a. So that's negative b. So negative 4 over 2a. 2 times 1/2 is just 1. And so my x value will be negative 4 for number 8. So the vertex so far is going to be negative 4, comma, let's get the y value. To get y, you're going to plug in. This is 1/2, and this is negative 4 squared plus 4 times a negative 4 plus 11. Let's see what we get. Okay, negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. Positive 16 times 1/2 is 8. 4 times a negative 4 is a minus 16 plus 11. 8 minus 16 is a negative 8. Negative 8 plus 11 is a positive 3. The y value of the vertex is positive 3. What about your y-intercept? That is your constant, and it's going to be 11. Negative 4 over 1, 2, 3 up. That's your vertex, and this vertex has to be shaped like this. Okay, so we're going to do 2 more together. So here comes 9. Okay, for 9, the leading coefficient is negative because there's a negative in front of x squared. Therefore, my parabola or my quadratic is going to be facing down. Your x equals negative b over 2a. So right here is my b, and right here is my a. Okay, so that's going to be a negative of a negative 8 over 2 times a. 2 times negative 1 is a negative 2. And negative of a negative 8 is 8 over negative 2. So the x value will be negative 4. So this will be negative 4. Now let's get the y. Plug it in. Negative 4 squared minus 8 times a negative 4 minus 14. Let's do the math. Negative 4 squared is going to be 16, but then I have a negative outside, so that's negative 16. Negative 8 times a negative 4 is a positive 32, and then minus 14. Okay, negative 16 plus 32 is a positive 16. 16 minus 14 equals a positive 2. This value is 2. So, and then my y-intercept is the constant value, negative 14. It's not on my graph. I can't plot that. But I can come over here. And for 9, I'm going to plot negative 4, comma 2. And to do that, hold on one second. Let me just get on. I went ahead of myself here. So I'm going to go to negative 4 over negative 4 up 2 right here. And it's going to be downward facing. There you have it. Okay, last one we're going to do all together is number 10. So for 10, I have a negative leading coefficient again. So it's down, down. My x value is going to equal negative b over 2a. This is my b. This is my a. Negative b is a negative of the 4. So that's negative 4. 2a is 2 times a negative 1, which is negative 2. And negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2. And the vertex has an x value of 2. Okay, so now let's get our y value. Y equals plugging it in. I have a negative x squared, so that's 2 squared plus 4 times 2 minus 3. Okay, negative 2 squared is a negative 4 plus an 8 minus a 3. Negative 4 plus 8 is a positive 4, and 4 minus 3 equals a 1. So my vertex is going to be 2, 1. And what is your y-intercept? That is going to be negative 3. And look, I have it right there. So that's my negative 3. Here's my vertex at go over 2 and then up positive 1. So that means that I have to go through that and then come on down. So that's the shape of that vertex. Okay, so your job is to do the rest of that just like this. So I'm going to give you a key. Okay, a little bit of a key anyway. I'm not going to show you how I got my answers, but I will tell you what they are, and your job is to show me the work. So for A, it's going to be down, down, because it's negative leading coefficient. For B, for number 11, let me just look it up. Hold on one sec. Okay, 11. My vertex is going to be negative 2, and you're going to show me y. And my y-intercept is going to be negative 18, and you're going to plot this. Okay, so this is the key. So I'm going to give you the key for these, but you have to show all the work like I've been showing for the other 10. Okay, here we go for the next one. Negative leading coefficient, so that means it's going to be down, down. And for B, what are we going to say? We're going to say the vertex is going to be at -4, -1, and you prove to me why that's the case. And the y-intercept is -17, and then you have to graph it. Okay, that brings us to 13. 13, your let's see, your function has a positive leading coefficient, so therefore it's going to be up, up. And remember, the leading coefficient is right here. It's a positive. And then your vertex for number 13 is going to be -3, 1. Okay, and your y-intercept is going to be 10. 14, it's going to be a negative leading coefficient because it's right there. Negative leading coefficients mean it's down, down. And then for B, what do we know? For B, we have to say, I want the vertex, and the vertex is going to be -2, 1. And you have to prove to me why that's the case. And my y-intercept is at -7, and you can graph that. Okay, that brings us to 15. Okay, 15, the leading coefficient is positive, therefore it's going to be up, up. And my vertex happens at 3, 1. And my y-intercept is at 19, and you can't graph that. Okay, for 16, what I'm going to find is that I have a leading coefficient that's positive, so it's going to be up, up. I find that my x and y values of my vertex are going to be 2, -3. You've got to prove to me why. And my y-intercept is at 5, and you can graph that. Okay? All right, so then I'm going to do a couple of more, and then I'm going to leave the last 2 for you to do totally on your own. So for 17, what I find is that I have a leading coefficient that's negative, so that's going to be down and down. And my vertex for number 17 is going to be 1, 1. And my y-intercept is going to be -8, and I can't graph that. For 18, my function is down and down. My vertex for number 18 is going to be 4, 4. And my y-intercept is going to be -12, and you can't graph that. Okay? So I'm going to say you must do these. And I'm going to say no key provided. So show me that you can actually do this, because I've showed you many times how to do it. Okay? So that ends this video. I hope you found that helpful.